laws. So we're going to go over some of the brief history because we're going to be talking somewhat about post-war period in terms of historic homes. And a lot of people don't really consider these homes to be historic, so we're going to try to provide a little bit of context specific to Arvada.
That was a good chorus.
So the initial settlement of, Arvada was the draw of gold. Lewis Ralston struck gold on his way out to California in 1850. Encouraged a lot of new settlers to come out to the area. He did continue on to California, but came back later, bringing more encouragement from settlers to come out and try their luck at gold painting in their area. What a lot of people who came out during this period found was that the agriculture, the soil was very fertile in Arvada, and it was, when proper irrigation was brought in by 1861, had taken over gold as the primary income economy within the area. Some of the key events during this early settlement period are going to be the 1870 when the first plat for the town was filed. Wadsworth family and the Reno family are the two main characters who were basically in charge of getting the first plat put together. They owned a lot of property in the area. They laid out a grid of streets on their own property and filed the plat in 1870 in conjunction in anticipation of the 1870 lane of the Colorado Central Railroad, which provided a passenger service between Denver and Gullah at the stop. They recognized this was going to be a huge deal for the town because of the two major municipalities that were directly adjacent. They had previously only been using a horse and a cart. And being an agricultural community, having a rail link to provide them an ability to bring in through a pretty fast service some of the perishable goods, and also provide the ability for people to travel back and forth more readily between the larger cities. Made it easier for people to move out to Arvada and to trade goods between the two major cities. That kind of leads into the next thing ever, which is 1902, in which time streetcar service was created between Denver and Arvada. It created a large incentive for people who really wanted to work in Denver but live outside of the city to be able to move out and start their own homes in that area. And in 1904, the town officially became Arvada. Prior to this, there had been many attempts at incorporation that never really happened. There was a confluence of events at this point, though, that really brought it all together. For one thing, prohibition was becoming more important to the citizens at this time, and they couldn't do any sort of prohibition law unless they were actually incorporated. In addition, the streets and infrastructure were pretty low. And you can see here in this picture of the 1901 view, all the streets are all dirt. There was no centralized electricity service, water service, or any sort of disposal service. So if they really wanted to improve their infrastructure, they were going to have to become incorporated. And finally, a lot of adjacent communities were beginning to annex land and basically bring it into their municipality. So if they wanted to protect their borders, they were going to have to incorporate to firmly establish this was the location of Arvada. So all those different factors coming together, you've got finally incorporation in 1904 as Arvada, which is actually the name of the brother-in-law of Mrs. Wadsworth. So that's where the name actually came from. But she wanted to honor her brother-in-law, and that was his middle name. So there's where the town gets its name. Here you can see 1910. The town is certainly still very agricultural. It's kind of hard to see picture from back too far, but you can see the water tower here to sort of orient yourself. So this would be the commercial area over here. The landscape is still primarily agricultural, lots of large fields, some smaller farmsteads scattered out about this area, and the primary commercial development being, as I say, on this strip up through here.
Phil, before I forget, isn't it this Saturday that there's the anniversary of the water tower? At what time? 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
For the 100th anniversary.
100th anniversary. So that kind of glazed over a whole long period of time between 1850 all the way up through the mid-20th century. It kind of tells the tale of the agricultural community. Agriculture was the primary bread and butter of this community all the way up through this period. At one point in time, it was actually considered to be the celery capital of the world due to their massive amounts of celery that was produced here. So what really happened during this post-war period? Well, for one thing, due to its convenient location next to Denver, it became very popular at that point as a place for people to build homes. And there was the baby boom, which I'm sure you all are pretty familiar with. soldiers were returning home from World War II. There was a lot of federal incentives with the GI Bill to get your own mortgage relatively cheaply. And a lot of people were pretty much wiped out after going through the 1930s with the Great Depression and the 1940s with the war. You had a lot of cutting back that you had to do and a lot of rationing. So finally, America, coming out of World War II, is the only country that didn't get the tar pumped out of us. We actually didn't have to rebuild our infrastructure. We could move right into the prosperity phase. And that's what they did. People really were excited about taking advantage of some of these incentives to buy homes, to move out to the suburbs, buy their own little piece of the American dream, nice house with a little backyard, a place to have a grill. And it was really the start of a whole new period of suburban development. There was some local influences. This was happening across on a national scale. Local influences would be the 1951 Rocky Flats nuclear plant that was built, which brought in a lot of extra jobs. And the fact that it was, as I mentioned, a convenient drive into Denver. And you had some active developers in these two neighborhoods that